never switch, not a little bit. Because we playing them hits, I got a little kick. My flow will never miss. I got that peach on my side, so I asked for a little kiss. Mwah.
Do you yield? I do not.
Hey yo, it's 1, 2, hit you with the mushroom, super logic king boo, flying hell like he do, you stay, I see. Yo, where that princess toast? Hey yo, my box of wing cap, turtle should we stop that? Do my heads get slammed flat, hammer bros make heads crack, king ball gets whacked back. Pull the bills make contact. It's a me, Mario, beating man scenario. Charlie saying let's go, even on the whistles blows. That Nicholas got mad dough. Ice, fire, rain, or snow. Stadiums, the rainbow road. Yo, yo, here we go.
Here we go, about to spit that braggadocious flow. On this track, I'm Godzilla, not that red-tide gorilla. Cooper troops marching cause we bigger. We bringing back that boom back, step back cause we rilla. Hit you with that final smash. You smell that burning rubber? Because I'm mashing on the gas. You see me smile when I pass. Then I throw that green shell, look back, so you swerve when you crash. Real gamers never switch, not a little bit. Because we playing them hits, I got a little kick. My flow will never miss. I got that peach on my side, so I asked for a little kiss. Mwah.
Do you yield? I do not.
Hey yo, it's 1, 2, hit you with the mushroom, super logic king boo, flying hell like he do, you stay, I see. Yo, where that princess toast? Hey yo, my box of wing cap, turtle should we stop that? Do my heads get slammed flat, hammer bros make heads crack, king ball gets whacked back. Pull the bills make contact. It's a me, Mario, beating man scenario. Charlie saying let's go, even on the whistles blows. That Nicholas got mad dough. Ice, fire, rain, or snow. Stadiums, the rainbow road. Yo, yo, here we go.
Here we go, about to spit that braggadocious flow. On this track, I'm Godzilla, not that red-tide gorilla. Cooper troops marching cause we bigger. We bringing back that boom back, step back cause we rilla. Hit you with that final smash. You smell that burning rubber? Because I'm mashing on the gas. You see me smile when I pass. Then I throw that green shell, look back, so you swerve when you crash. Real gamers never switch, not a little bit. Because we playing them hits, I got a little kick. My flow will never miss. I got that peach on my side, so I asked for a little kiss. Mwah.
Do you yield? I do not.
right, here we go. What's up, everybody? This is Kotetsu here, and today this is episode 10 of the One Up Crew podcast, which I'm still so excited that we're doing One Up Crew podcast again. It's still so cool. Like I mentioned before, and it's perfect. We see a random death on here. That's how we want to start this off. A game over. That's how we want to start it off. That's awesome.
Me looking at the stream.
Awesome. But yeah, man, this is episode okay, there we go. This is episode 10 of the What Up Crew podcast. My name is Kotetsu, and I have my co-host here, Cliff, who is playing Tears of the Kingdom, just to give us some more emphasis on what we're going to be talking about today.
How's it going, guys?
And of course, man, I had to have the guy the master, right? Yeah, that's what we call it, the master. The master of the sword of music. We can't talk about this game without having him here. This is our group leader, TJ the Gamer. Say what's up to everybody.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy TJ, and we are back. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there?
Yo, so this has been probably the hardest thing to hold off on because the second we did our first episode, the first thing about Tears of the Kingdom, I said, all right, we're gonna reconvene in 2 weeks. I feel like 2 weeks is enough time for people to really dive into this game. There's no way you can really feel like you can get a gist of it in a week. Even last week I had a week off and I still feel like I didn't scratch the surface until like later. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about this. But first, before we get into that, I don't want to. This is an opportunity to talk about another small little piece of, not small, but another piece of news that happened this week. It was the PlayStation Showcase that happened on Wednesday, and
here we go.
They showed off. Now I didn't catch it live because I was at work, but I was lucky. I told myself, yo, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not going on Twitter. I'm not going on nothing until I get home. I had the showcase set up on my laptop, so all I had to do was open it and scroll back. So when I opened it, it showed the CEO of Sony. So I was like, cool, it's not showing me nothing. So I scrolled back and I watched the whole thing. And man, there were some announcements on there that I was excited for, and some I didn't expect, and some that I was hoping to see, but we didn't see. So if you guys saw it too, you guys can jump into and say which ones you're looking forward to. But
I saw bits and pieces afterwards. I mean, I am hyped for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Spider-Man a little bit too. But I think the one thing that I was super excited about was to see Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, because I really wasn't expecting to see that there, but we saw it, and we have it's not a solid release date, but we know the window on when we're gonna see this game come out, which is winter. So I'm really happy about that. Of course, Final Fantasy 16, that's of course, Final Fantasy 16, we're excited. They had to do one last marketing thing, and it would be kind of stupid if they didn't do it at the showcase before the game comes out in a month.
Yeah, you knew that was coming.
Yeah. Street Fighter, same thing. The game comes out next week. They had to do something before the game comes out. It only makes sense. And then Spider-Man was like the last game they showed off, and they literally showed off like a nice 10 to 12 minute gameplay trailer, and they showed off Black Suit Spider-Man in this gameplay trailer. And for someone who is a huge fan of Spider-Man, who loves the Black Suit saga, the Venom saga, the Black Suit Spider-Man looks dope in here. Like, they did a great job. Like, it doesn't look like the older ones, like the OG ones, but it looks more symbiotic, like from the details of it. Like,
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it did look good.
It has like an alien-esque type of like aesthetic to it. So it is an alien. Well, we don't know what the origin of it in this game is, but the original origin is, well, there's kind of two origins to Black Suit Spider-Man, or the symbiote suit, compared to like where you read it. If it's an Ultimate series, then it's like, I think they said it's it was something where they used Eddie Brock and Peter's dad's blood to create it, and it became that. That's why it bonds, or it has like this weird connection between Eddie in Peter, because they can kind of know, because it's both of their father's DNA into this entity. So they're both drawn to it or drawn to each other. And then of course there's like, I think there's all the other ones where it's like it was an alien substance, which is like a symbiote, which makes sense. That makes sense. The other one's kind of like weird to explain, but the one where it's like an alien substance, that one where it's like comes from Earth and it's symbiotic, and it gets attached to his host, and gives the powers of, or not powers, but it just kind of like uses the host as just like a home base for a minute before it decides to jump somewhere else. But we don't know how they're gonna tell it in Spider-Man 2, so the Marvel Spider-Man 2. But that Marvel Spider-Man 2 looks amazing. Like I cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for that.
It's gonna be a good time.
Same.
They're always good. That's the thing about the Spider-Man games. It's just, I saw it and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be good.
It's fun,
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's the Spider-Man games are usually good. Like those are usually the only superhero games that are really like consistently always good. So it's just like, it's gonna be good. I already know.
Yeah. Hey Zap, I know I saw you earlier, but just wanted to say what's up. Thank you for coming by. All right, cool. So now we've talked about that. I wanted to talk about that 'cause I feel like it would be a missed opportunity not to talk about that, because we're a podcast that talks about gaming, and that was a pretty huge event, and we got that out of the way. So now I was gonna ask a question, but you know what? I want you guys to humor me. Just humor me with this. Humor me with this icebreaker. So what have you guys been playing this week?
I don't know.
I
Like,
have
it's
been
like
playing.
this
It's this
indie
game that you might have
called
heard of.
You might not have heard of it.
This is a little game. This is a little game that came out pretty recently. Not sure if you heard of it. It's kind of a niche kind of thing. But I've been playing this game called Zelda Tears of the King. No, that sounds crazy.
So how is it? I've never played it. So how is it, by the way? Like, I've been hearing hype about it. How? Yeah. Is it worth my $70? Is it worth my $70 to pick? All right. Yeah. This is worth $70. I don't care what anybody says. If my words don't express it, don't make me turn on Arcade 2.0 intro, skip all the way to VG's part, and just let that play and replay.
Exactly.
Oh man.
$30 games.
But yeah, man, we're here. You guys are here for the title, right? I say our final impression because we played a good amount of it, and I feel like what we've played will give people who haven't touched it or have seen it more of an in-depth for what we've played and what we experienced in the game so far. So man, whoever wants to take the floor, I don't know where to start. So whoever wants to kick it off, we'll follow you 100%, because that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing today.
I geek out for a little bit.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep, it's all yours.
All right. I'm gonna geek out a little bit. Okay, so Tears of the Kingdom, and in the simplest form, is a love letter to all Zelda games. Like it's not even like, all right, yeah, the gameplay is great, the combat, like it's the little things in this game that's what's been getting me. Like they've done some amazing things. Like first of all, from Breath of the Wild, one of the biggest complaints people talked about was music.
Mm-hmm.
And this Zelda game, they was like, all right, we're gonna go 50-50. We're still gonna give you the ambiance stuff. Then we're gonna give you those moments where we're gonna hit you with some classic tracks.
Right.
Like when I went to Zora's Domain for the first time and I heard the Ocarina of Time Zora's Domain theme playing, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Then they brought back like items, like classic items, like the bomb flower and pose, and I'm just like, okay, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here. And another big complaint that people had about this game, that it wasn't enough story. So what did they do in Tears of the Kingdom? They just piled it on. They just put story on top of story on top of story.
They sure did.
On top of more story. There's so much story in this game. This might be one of the most story-filled Zelda games I've ever played.
That's something I was gonna mention too. Is like, from someone who hasn't played all of them but played a good amount, and to jump to this one, like how story driven is this one compared to the last 7 or 8 games that's come out before this? And how would you feel how much story driven this game is? Not just from the main, because like you said, there's everything. I feel like everything is intertwined with what happens here. You know what I mean, with the main game. So just to say, how much story do you feel like is in this game compared to all the other games that you played, the Zelda games you played?
Like I've, just so you know my history a little bit. Like I've played all of them. There's not a Zelda game I have not played. And out of all the Zelda games, like I said, this one is probably the most story rich game that I've played. Like, hey, there's so many cutscenes. Even outside of the cutscenes, even in the side quests, you're getting stories that relate to the main overall arc and theme.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really what world of Breath of the Wild alive. Like there's things happening, there's things changing, there's the monsters are taking over villages and this is happening over here, and this is like they make it feel like a actual world like this is a live world that is forever changing. And like I've
I
never
can agree
seen a
with
Zelda
that.
game would just go that ham on the story. Like they really just went all out with the story. And like one of the story wise as well, but it also relates to what I was talking about is everybody's like, "Where's Ganondorf?" The big one.
Yep.
And did they ever bring back Ganondorf? I hate to do this, but like, because I feel like I'm just going ham, but it is what it is. This is probably my favorite rendition of Ganondorf. that I've
Oh,
seen.
100. I
Oh
agree.
yeah.
I
Oh
agree
yeah.
100%. I
Like
agree with
they
100%.
100%
This
on that.
Ganondorf he is a villain's villain.
He's
Like he
vicious.
is.
Yeah.
They gave him like a little backstory.
I
And
love his
like
backstory in here too.
they tell you more about like his ambitions and why he is the way he is, and like they've never gone this deep on Ganondorf. He's probably one of my favorite villains of all time, and like one of my previous favorite rendition of him was probably from the Wind Waker.
Okay.
Wind Waker Ganondorf was super
Oh
dope.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
I love what they did with Wind Waker.
Okay.
But this one blew him out the water. Like this Ganondorf is just like he is that dude. Like they made sure that he was a threat from the very beginning. It was just
Yeah.
like, am I allowed to spoil a little bit?
As much as you can without giving too much giving too much away.
Like when Ganondorf first appears, let's just say something happens that I did not expect to happen. Like at the very beginning, you're just like, whoa, like
Oh, okay.
I
wow,
know.
how are you supposed to like the one thing that's supposed to like solve this problem doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go from here now?
You know
Like
what?
that
are we
was a
supposed to do now?
complete like twist.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like,
love how they
okay.
did that. I love because the Master Sword always played a role. From my experiences, the Master Sword always played a role in fighting Ganondorf, right? So when that happens, you're kind of like,
Oh,
okay,
crap. Like,
what
what's
the
gonna
heck am
happen?
I gonna do? Like, okay, you just took away my atomic bomb.
Like
It was
the
gone.
cure-all.
Yeah, it was a cure-all.
Zelda
So,
games,
and now to know that this
that's the
cure-all didn't do jack, like he sat there and said, okay, I'll just say that, it's it's the beginning of the game. I'm just gonna say it. He said the sword that's supposed to eliminate darkness can't even phase me. I said, yeah. I said, Master Sword's gone. So
I was very curious of how they were going to do that because, like, this is a continuation of Breath of the Wild.
yeah,
And of course, in Breath of the Wild, you get the Master Sword. So it's like, all right, if you already have, like, basically the ultimate weapon, like, basically it's like, this is the strongest weapon in the game. And, like, this is every other Zelda game. You get them, you play through the game, you get the Master Sword, you take the Master Sword, you beat Ganon. Like, that's just how it
exactly,
goes.
exactly.
Like,
But
how are they going to, like, Link already has it now. So if he shows up, like, technically, I should be able to just take the sword and just, hey, you're done.
yeah,
So I was
Yeah, I
wondering
will
how
say,
they
I
were going to
mean,
work that out.
I will say that like it wasn't only Ganondorf that defeated the Master Sword. It was more of the gloom.
yeah, the gloom
defeated
that
it.
he used it. But I
that
think
was, that
still,
was intense though.
yeah, but
Like,
I
that
think
was-
still just to be like, and then just that whole sequence when you see it cut him, it cut him, so it lets you know, okay, it phases him. But the fact that he was just like, okay, you cut me. Like usually you see stuff like that where they're just like, what, you have this, you can do this, okay, but it didn't phase him like that. Even though he was like this mummified thing, and it cut him, he's just like, oh, that's all? It just cut me? that's it.
I haven't even.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
like
even
that's
through my final form. Yet.
yeah, exactly. It was like this is me being shackled, and it cut me and it did nothing. That's the sword that's I've been hearing, that I've heard about for all this time, and it just
That's
cut
an
me and it.
anti-Ganondorf sword. Dude.
and then I love how the beginning of the game started because I love how the beginning of the game started because it just kind of puts you in a situation where you're just like, okay, what am I gonna do now? And then of course you play through the rest of it, and then you kind of figure out what happens from there. But yeah, man, this Tears of the Kingdom has been the game that I've jumped off it a couple times to play other stuff, but then I'm just like, I want to go back and play, and I just go back and I just play so much more of it, and like you don't. What I love about this, what I loved about Breath of the Wild is that there's no right way to play through the game. Like in Breath of the Wild, you can literally just go straight to Hyrule and finish off Calamity Ganon. You can do the same thing in here. I didn't know how you can do it, but after playing through it and getting to where I'm at, I'm like, oh, that's where people can speedrun from. Okay, now I know where he's at. But
they don't tell you. It's
yeah,
like,
they
the
don't.
thing was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, if you're explorer, you might be able to figure it out.
Exactly. Like I had no idea how to get to him, but I felt like, and this goes back to what TJ said, like I feel like if you really do take the time and just do as much as you can before you get to Ganon, everything is going to just be, it's going to be, your experience is going to be better. Like your end game experience is going to be like cool.
It's more of like, okay, like I did this stuff. It's time, like I have what I need. Let's just get rid of him.
Yeah. Like you go through the hero's journey if you do the story. You go through the hero's journey if you do the and not just the main story, but like so what I liked about, I think my favorite part of this game was the geoglyphs. Because the geoglyphs had more. So in Breath of the Wild, you just had, I guess what you had, like the photos, and you had to kind of like
figure out
where they were. Like, okay, so I'll I'll say it. I got to play this a little bit early. So because of some ways, not gonna say how, but some ways. So I played this a little bit early, and I didn't play too much. I just want to get a gist of it. So I remember I was just walking around, and I saw this stuff on the ground. I'm like, what the heck is this stuff on the ground? Like, what is this green outlining on the ground? I had no idea what it was. So I forgot where exactly I was. But I remember what the memory was, because I went back and saw it again, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't know where it was. So I saw this puddle. And I'm like, what is this puddle? And I just interacted with it. I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? And you see the cutscene with Ganon attacking, Ganon, and you see Ganon and the Gerudo. I'll just say, you see Ganon and the Gerudos and all the Hyruleans there. And I was just like, whoa, this is like actual story stuff, right? Like this isn't like, this has some significance. Like, and I'm not saying the stuff in Breath of the Wild didn't, but I feel like the Breath of the Wild stuff was just like,
it was a different way of storytelling where
yeah,
Breath of the Wild was mainly focused on recovering Link's memories and figuring out who Link was,
yeah,
and what Calamity was all about.
Yeah, and then who the champions were.
It's a little bit different, where without actually going into deep, it's similar but different because of the circumstance.
Yeah, exactly.
What it is that Breath of the Wild, it was more like character driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, these are the characters, these are the roles, these are the roles they play. This is what's going on. This is how they interact with each other. As Tears of the Kingdom, they do that, but then they include the entire world.
Like,
this is what happens to there's so many characters in this game. Usually you have a couple characters, a couple main characters. That's pretty much it. Like in Tears of the Kingdom, like every character is important.
Exactly.
Everybody's important. Like the side character is important. This person's important. That person's important. Like everybody has their role to play, and it's just makes it a grander story because like there's no throwaways. It's like, oh, this person just does it, shows up one time and that's it. Like no, like these you get attached to these characters. Like for the first time, you really get attached to these characters. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what's gonna happen to that person? What's gonna happen to this person? Oh, that happened to that. Like what? Oh my god, that one part where Ganon did the thing, the one character.
Oh yeah, that got me. That got me too. And it was just it was such a
Oh,
hype moment. To me, it
oh my
was like, okay, things about to go down, but it was such a hype moment when that happened because you're just kind of like, okay, that's how he became who he is now. He didn't just appear. Like I felt like I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time and I read the mangas too because of course they're like one and the same in a little bit. I think the mangas get a little bit more detail and everything than the game does, but in the mangas it was just like he just came and just wrecked and just left, and it was just like, okay. But like in here, like you said, Ganon has more story. He has more story. This is what I didn't know this about. I didn't know this. I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. I didn't know this, but Ganon is one of the first males in Gerudo in 100 years.
yeah, like
And
every
I think that 100
only
years,
one male is
yeah,
born.
and he ended up becoming the ruler of the Gerudos. So the fact that
They
Oh, look,
they mention
it's
it
like
slightly in Ocarina of Time, but they never really expand upon it. They
yeah,
just
yeah,
it's
it's
like it
kind
was
of
like
like
a
a
quick
side thing.
text thing. Is just like, oh, every 100 years a male gorilla, and they just kind of like gloss over it
yeah,
and never really talk about it. So like most people don't even realize that Ganondorf is Gerudo.
yeah.
Yeah,
I knew he was, but I was kind of like, wait a minute. I thought all the Gerudos were female, but there's lore to that. They're just like, hey, every 100 years, there's one male in the Gerudo in who's born in Gerudo, and then the fact that he became the ruler of all the Gerudos is crazy. And then, like you said, his ambitions were like his ambitions in the game were just kind of crazy. Um, and then to see that he didn't just gain all this, like he schemed, he plotted, and then
it
he
was
got to the point where
temptation.
yeah. So it was just man, it was definitely a crazy moment there. Like I haven't beaten the game yet, so I can't wait to actually get to him and fight him. Um,
You will have
but
a good
yeah.
time.
I will say too that this Ganon is my favorite rendition of Ganon. Like I pray we get an amiibo for Ganon because I feel like it would be huge. To me, it'll be such a miss if we don't get a Gerudo. I mean,
'Cause I would buy
Ganon
it. Just his
amiibo.
design, just his design alone. This is a good looking Ganondorf. Like that's a good
That
looking Ganondorf.
that's a fighting game Ganondorf. Like that's a Street Fighter. That's a Street Fighter Ganondorf. Like
Yeah,
100%.
I'm like, yeah, this is like,
That's
this
Street
is a
Fighter
good looking
Ganondorf.
Ganondorf. I'm like, yo, I'm like, did they really try to make Ganondorf sexy out here? What's going on? Like,
Like
what are they doing here?
like I thought my favorite Ganon was from Hyrule Warriors because he reminded me a little bit of Akuma
Oh
with like the
yeah,
longer hair,
yeah,
and
that's
that
a
was
good
my
one.
favorite one. But yeah, this one is my favorite
Yeah,
Ganon.
like it's his design, his actual character. It's
hmm
just like
I love
it's
his voice
super
actor
good.
too. The voice actor I forgot, he sounds familiar, but I love that they were able to and this is one of the few times we've never, so a lot of Breath of the Wild definitely helped bring character to a lot of the characters because of the voice actors and voice
The
actresses.
foundation.
And so just from me, I've never heard Ganon actually voice until Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm just like, that's cool because I felt like whoever voiced him did it.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was
Like
good.
like it made you feel like terrifying,
Oh
especially during certain scenes. You're like,
yeah,
holy crap, man! Like this guy is, you know,
he ain't messing
insane.
around. Yeah, he's not messing around, but
And the first time he spoke, it was just like, ooh.
it gave you chills, right? Like one of those chills, one of those chills that put your shoulders back. Like you're just like,
Oh, wait a minute.
what the hell was that?
That's what I'm saying. Like this Zelda game, like it really plays on emotions. Like they really like this
hmm
game makes you feel things. Like I got attached. Like I never thought I would get
Lay
attached to
down,
like the Zelda characters that
lay
much.
down,
Like usually I'm just it's
lay down.
all about me and Link. Like that's my guys. It's me and Link. But like the king, the original king, like
hmm
whoa, like that dude,
No,
his
that
voice actor is really like the voice acting in this game. I think is actually better. Like, I
better.
don't know,
Yeah,
like it's like did something. I don't know what they
I
did.
think it improved since like Age of Calamity.
that's
It kind of
right.
got better.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the voice actor who did Rauru, I think I just pronounced Rauru, also did he played Dimitri in Three Houses. That's the
Oh,
same voice actor. He did something else. I forgot what it was, but that's who played Rauru. And I was like, I know I heard it. I know I heard his voice because Dimitri is actually one of my favorite characters in
that is
the game.
another
But
dope character. Like that character is, that's the character I think I've become the most attached to, just
same.
because of what he experiences and what
His
he goes
story
through.
is way better than everyone else's. His story is way better.
I'm like,
It's
yo,
his
like
story was way better.
this dude is going through it, yo. Like
Yeah,
he's just trying to do the best that he can, and oh my goodness,
and
like
he
his
had to.
story is
He couldn't
dope.
overcome. He couldn't swallow the him. He couldn't swallow the fact that the person who killed his dad, he had to work with. He couldn't swallow that, and he just went. He just went insane, and which drove his character so way. I think his character development is probably the best, one of the best I've seen, because it's like it's hard to kind of see those characters do the whole goody two shoes role and then kind of flip him into a heel, because it's like such a weird turn. But the what we did with him, it was like he had a chip on his shoulder that no one knew about until you see him go crazy, and then 10 years later he's like this killer and he was gonna kill everybody, and it was yeah, anyway.
Yeah, like he's definitely the character I think I've been drawn to the most in this game. Like it's absolutely insane. And
Yeah,
like
I was
I
gonna
I haven't seen any other Zelda games that really like done that
yeah,
level.
yeah. I, yeah, and like I said, I haven't played I played the two core ones, the ones that are the two popular ones. I'm just really going through Ocarina of Time, but but yeah, I definitely, and then after playing Breath of the Wild and then jumping into this game, definitely will say that uh this is probably story, like you said, story wise, this probably has the best story in the entire game, in the series from what I played, because it's
Yeah, like
yeah.
as far as series goes, like as far as like the ones I say are probably the most story heavy
Hmm.
are Skyward Sword.
Oh yeah.
Skyward
Hmm.
Sword had a decent chunk of story in it. Um, and I would say probably between Twilight Princess.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say Twilight Princess is probably another one, but then like Tears of the Kingdom just like blows
Lay
both of
down.
those out of the water now. Like,
It's a good thing you mentioned that because I don't know why, but this game ever since like I saw the trailer and got some of saw some of the like got an idea of like what the game would be like, especially the last trailer. It really felt I got like some serious Skyward Sword vibes. I'm like, why does it feel like it's like this from like the
Hmm.
whole story about like chasing Zelda, and at the end like this feels like Skyward Sword.
And
yeah,
like
as I'm
um,
saying, like they
yeah.
learned a lot from Skyward Sword because I think Skyward Sword is one they really got into their bag for the story. It's like Skyward Sword story isn't as well developed as Tears of the Kingdom, but I think it's where it really started for Zelda
Hmm.
games. Like that's when the story really became really, really important. Because most of the other Zelda games are kind of pretty much in the same bag.
Hmm.
It's like, all right, here's the evil, here's the hero, do what you got to do.
yeah,
Right.
As like Skyward Sword gets into like character motivations and like why
Hmm.
this person does this and what's the connection between this and this and characters changing how they feel and going through like I said, character development. Like
Hmm.
I think Skyward Sword is where it really started. And like then Breath of the Wild took it to another level, and then Tears of the Kingdom just said, "All right, we going all in now."
Yeah. Yeah. So since we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom, we have Cliff. This is actually cool because it's like our own little like interview with gameplay kind of thing going on right now.
Yeah, I like it.
That you guys are seeing Cliff actually play Tears of the Kingdom, and let's just talk about this new feature, man. Like the Ultra Hand, like how game changing is that? Like Ultra Hand is just like
it's really insane because like all of the other it's kind of like what we said earlier, where it's like when you go like in past Zelda games, like when you would have puzzles, there would always be a set way of dealing with them. But in this game, like you really have the freedom to like do a puzzle however you really want to do it. And I like that they decided to mix puzzle solving with the overworld. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, like I have this pirate ship that has like a bunch of enemies. I'm like, well, how do I do this? Well, I built a little contraption with some let me get the name of it.
The fans and
The fans and then
I never even would have
the
thought to
cannon.
build it the way something like that, the way you like. That's like when I watch other people's builds and stuff like that. I'd be like, wow, I never would have thought to do that.
and it's
I
just
never would have
like,
thought to do it that way.
and you're like, do I have the patience to do that?
Because like the mission that you're doing right now, like I just did this one recently, and I did it a completely different way.
Oh yeah, I did
I did
too.
this one completely different. Like I did like I did like a horse cart. I had my horse going, and I loaded up the horse cart with like weapons and stuff like that, and I just drove through and just let those things fire off.
I
Tried to
didn't.
kill as many as I could, and then I just
I didn't
did the
do
rest on
that.
foot.
I did traditional action hero stuff. I just jumped in and took out everybody one on one. And when I got to the ship, I just said, "All right, let's go." And I jumped on the ship and I just cleared everybody. It took a minute though, because it's like, if you don't have like, the strong, strong weapons and, good enough defense, then it's going to be a minute. Cause you can those silver bokoblins will like one shot you, if anything.
They'll up you.
Yeah, they will one shot you.
Some videos where like people have made like laser machines that is like laser enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it's yeah, I think this was besides like adding 2 new layers to this game, which is probably insane on how they did that, because not only do we have, the Sky Islands, we have the depths, which are just like a whole new level of Hyrule. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like it's not like the depths and it's just like one or two like with the Sky Islands, just kind of like there's islands there, but most of them are like little small ones, and there's like little like stepping areas to get to other ones. I mean, there's a lot to the Sky Islands, but not as much as there is on Hyrule. But when you get to the depths, it's just like
It's a map.
Exactly, and it's something.
Overworld.
It's something I
literally
didn't.
Another overworld.
I didn't know about. I had no idea. I remember I did something and I fell and I'm like, "What the heck is this?" It's a discovery, the chasm. I'm like, what the heck is a chasm? I know what a chasm is, but what is your definition of a chasm? And it's like a whole new, like you said, it's a whole new map. So it's just like, so not only did you give us the skies, you gave us the depths. So you gave us 3 layers of expert. So this game is never going away because you gave us 3 layers.
Like, and then like, and they made it completely different. They didn't just reuse what they had. Like they made new assets for it. Like that is like a completely different world.
Exactly.
There's different items down there. There's different enemies down there. There's different like hazards down there. There's different like different food items. There's just like it's like its own, like it could have been its own separate thing. And then what's even cooler is that the surface and the main layer are like connected.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, so this is just under here. So like you're literally underneath world. So like, if you're underneath the castle in the depths, you're underneath the castle. If you're underneath the forest, you're underneath the like that's where you are. Like, the 2 maps are like completely linked. It's literally underneath Hyrule.
And it's so, I love how some games there's no, I think this has the smoothest on the Switch, has the smoothest transition when it comes to that. So smooth. No, you just drop. If you're in the sky, you drop to Hyrule. There's no animation. You're actually falling from a Sky Island to Hyrule. If you're going to a chasm, you're literally jumping into it. There's no like, it's not like in Skyward Sword where like when you get to a certain point in Skyward Sword, then it's just animation that takes the rest of it the way there. In this, it's like it's all seamless. It's like everything is, there's no loading screen. Everything is so seamless.
The way they hid the loading.
Oh, it's genius. It's genius.
It's so slick.
It's
because
genius.
As you're falling down the hole, that's the loading screen.
Yeah.
It's just an active loading screen.
Yeah.
You're still able to move and stuff. So like if you're not even paying attention, you don't even realize that it's loading.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Sky World and the mainland are just one big area.
Yeah.
Like they're connected. They're just seamless. When you go to the depths, it actually does load the area, but it's an active loading screen. So you're still moving around, and as you're falling, you're kind of just float, and it's using that time to load the underworld.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mind trick. It's like, oh, you don't realize that it's actually loading it. It feels like it's just seamless. You're
Yeah.
still actively controlling your character.
Yeah.
There's no
That's
like
crazy.
loading screen. Let's just stop here and do a loading screen. Like
Yeah.
only time you get a loading screen is when you like do fast travel.
Or you die.
You die.
Or you die. Like we've
Yeah,
seen a couple times.
which will happen. It's
But
just like completely blown away with how they like pulled this off, and this thought just popped in my head. Like this Zelda game is a weapon crafting.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw that fusion ability, like, wait a minute, this is basically weapon crafting.
No,
You can literally make weapons,
now
repair weapons.
that I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first saw that, I was a little scared because I was like, wait a second. Okay, so I can just grab a stick and a rock and it's a hammer. I was afraid that we weren't going to still get our traditional weapons in the game. That's where I was a little bit worried about. I was like, okay, so we're not gonna get our claymores, our swords, royal swords, and all. We're not gonna get that. But then I ended up seeing them later, and I was like, okay. I saw someone attach a shield to a sword, and I said, okay, so we're still getting our traditional weapons here, so that's great.
You're still getting all the original weapons, but now you can make some.
Yeah,
them.
and it
You
just
can actually repair your weapon. So like they even acknowledged the whole weapon breaking thing.
mhm.
Now there's like a little trick where you can actually repair your weapon. So it's like
Yeah, I do and I do love the fact there's a little bit of like I want to say a little bit of RPG element in it. So it's like if you fuse a weapon, the fuse item that you add gets stacked on top of your original power level of that weapon. So it's like okay, so you want to go out and start looking for strong pieces, like fighting the probably either like a Lionel. Like I love how every enemy in here has a piece of whatever that can be used to fuse your weapons with. And so it just adds a whole nother element of combat and strategy to this game, which makes you want to play even more.
yeah, like I was when I saw that I was like, yeah, okay, I'm all in. I'm all in on this.
Mhm.
I love crafting systems like that. So and it's not really a traditional crafting system. It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
you just go to a menu and you do this and you put these random items together. Like no, like you beat up well, it's basically a robot,
Mm,
and you take this metal thing that he had on him and you fuse it to your other thing, and now it's this kind of weapon. And you like it's like you're taking actual physical items and just like combining them, like just like actually crafting. Like I'm gonna put this on this, and this is gonna make it stronger. Thing.
yeah. Yeah.
It's so quick and simple and easy to use. It's not like oh, I got to go through this menu. I got to find these specific items. It's like no, whatever you
Yeah,
got,
like it's not like a recipe
do
system
it.
in it. Like there's no recipe system
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, you have to have this and this to make this. It's just like, no, if you find a piece of wood on the ground and there's a rock, put two,
There you go.
see
Yeah.
if you could do something with it. And it's like, oh, and it will literally title it as you just made a rock hammer or a bokoblin hammer or a a Lionel sword or something. Like
yeah. Like
it
like certain
recognizes that.
combinations will actually create unique weapons.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
so this plus this, I get this kind of weapon.
Hmm.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Mm.
If I combine this with this, I get that kind of weapon. Oh, that's dope. Oh, I learned that.
There,
If you combine these two, like, oh, that didn't quite work. It's still added a
still
little bit,
something.
but it's not that great. But
Yeah,
it's
still
there. I can
something.
use it.
Um,
It's
w-
like
yeah, there is a weapon in here though that I found a weapon called one of the gloom weapons, and the gloom weapon is cool, but it's like a double-edged sword. So it's like I think it's however many hearts you have, it will stack on
okay.
top of it, but it'll like make you lose life if you hold it. But if you fuse with another weapon, that effect negates it because you're technically not holding it. You're fusing it with another weapon, so you're not affected by that. So
It's like
I thought that was dope that they had stuff like that. But yeah, there's just so many. Tears of the Kingdom created so many ways of being just creative. Like you see Cliff here, like he made these little like mini tanks to help him knock these fools out, and I'm like that's really cool and really creative how you can just kind of put something together like that. And as we've seen on YouTube and everywhere already, there's already people like you mentioned before, TJ, breaking the game. Like we saw that in Breath of the Wild with all the stuff you can do with the magnesum and time stopping and bombs and stuff like that. But now they've created a whole new beast where it's just like we're like this Tears of the Kingdom was going to be a game that wasn't going to die off. It wasn't, but they gave us something
now
where
it's
like
like
it's
it has
not going.
momentum.
Yeah, the momentum is never going to die because there's always going to be some new build someone's going to put together, and people are like, "Oh, how'd you do that?" They're going to jump on Tears of the Kingdom and put it together. There's always something in here.
I love how they did. Like that's basically like Nintendo listening to their fans. Like we were talking about this before we started, but like you were saying, like in Breath of the Wild, people found like the way to break the game and doing all this cool stuff with magnesis and all that kind of stuff. And like Nintendo saw how much fun people were having doing that. Like, oh, this is what they like. So let's give them a system that basically allows them to do that within the confines of the game. Like so now, like
Mm-hmm.
we basically gave you the tools to break our game. Have fun.
Exactly.
Go have fun. Just go have fun. Do whatever you want to do. You can combine this with this. You can connect this. You can do whatever you want to do. And if you don't want to do none of that, you don't really have to. Like you said, you just ran in there, guns blazing. I got my sword, I got my shield. I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna fight. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's called
Yeah.
the freedom of choice. It's
Yeah.
something Nintendo really understands. Like, just give them the freedom to do. Just give them the freedom to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to play the game that way, that's fine. You don't have to. You can do it the old traditional Zelda way. Or you can
Yeah.
get into the crafting system and do that. You can make your own weapons. But you don't necessarily even have to make your own weapons because there's plenty of weapons to be found and you can just
Mm-hmm.
use those. Or,
Mm-hmm.
there's this building system and there may be some quests where you have to do it, but guess what? There was a side quest. So you don't necessarily have to do those either.
Yeah.
You can do
Exactly.
whatever you want to do, however you want to do it.
Yeah. I would definitely say this is probably the better blueprints of what an open world game can be because open world doesn't necessarily mean freedom, right? like
Exactly.
like we can have an open world game but it can still feel linear to what we can actually do. Like we can't like and we talked about this in the last podcast where we said Breath of the Wild gave people there's no other game like Breath of the Wild where they said, here, we're just gonna hold your hand through the tutorial so you know how to play. Oh, you know how to play? Okay, cool. They pushed us off the Great Plateau and said, here's Hyrule, go do what you want. And we were
I
like,
love how they did that.
oh, okay, thank you. And it's a little intimidating at first because you're kind of like, because we're so used to just like, well,
Like I said,
we're
or
supposed to go here first, go here first, go here first, then go here, then go here. Breath of the Wild is just like we're just trying to show you how to play the game because we want you to have the basics of how to play this game. We'll show you each shrine will give you all the abilities and tools you need. We'll give you a little bit of the backstory. We'll give you a paraglider. We'll give you your first tower. Okay, and they literally just pushed us off that tower and let us paraglide to Hyrule. And they said, "Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do whatever you want. We got side quests all over the place now. We got shrines. We're not telling you what to do, but you can go here. By the way, there's Ganon right there if you want to do it. We're not telling you to do it, but he's right. Yeah, it's like, hey, Ganon's right there. We're not telling you to do him right now, but he's right there. And so like what other game lets you do that? There's no other game out. And then there's games that probably tried, but then because they're just kind of like, well, I said this too. I said this too last time. I said Breath of the Wild, how the game was built, the gameplay was built first, and then there was story. I feel like every developer builds the story first, and then there's the game. Breath of the Wild was done differently because that's how we were able to get the experience we have here. Same with Tears of the Kingdom. They said this is a formula that's not broken. We're going to do what we can do now because it's not on any other systems. It's here. Our most powerful system as of right now, our most powerful system. We can add these different layers and we can add more to it without feeling like the system is going to explode or whatever. And we're just going to keep our formula. Hey, we're gonna have you just do the Sky Island tutorial, so you know what the Sky Islands are. We're gonna give you all the abilities, and we're just gonna kick you. And they literally kicked us off the Sky Island and say, "Here you go,
Do whatever you want.
do it now. You're back in Hyrule. You can go do what you want. We're not telling you what to do. You can do. You can. You know. Yeah.
That's literally what they did. Like, is the Sky Island was basically the new Great Plateau.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, here's you can stay here if you want to. You can run around and explore here if you want to, and get comfortable with the game. But once you leave, oh, honestly,
yeah.
as somebody who's played all of the Zelda games and is like, of course, one of the biggest Zelda fans. I'm the Zelda guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually more true to the original Zelda formula than people realize. Because hold just a second, you know what game actually did that? This one right here.
See, I never played the original. Or
Zelda
played that
game
one.
right here basically did the very same.
But
You start this game, you walk into this dungeon, and the guy gives you a sword.
and it's
It's
like,
dangerous
do
to
whatever
go
you
out.
want
That's
to
what
do.
the dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous to go out alone. Take this. Give you that sword. You walk out of that cavern, and you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's no direct. There's not even waypoints. Just go.
Nope.
You just go walk around and figure it out. You can do this dungeon before you do this dungeon. You can actually upgrade your sword before you even go to the first dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
You can get these items before you even go to the first dungeon. You can do this game almost in any order. It's actually very true to what the original Zelda game was. Like,
Which one is that one you have in your hand?
this is the first. This is
Okay.
Legend of Zelda #1.
Okay, yeah.
Original
Isn't
card.
like Link's Awakening kind of like that, where it's just like after you wash up on the island, you go to the first area, whatever, then the kind of game kind of just says, all right,
You can go.
yeah, because
go.
I have Link's Awakening.
Well, it's kind of. I think there are some like story locked segments where you have to do.
Okay,
There are certain part and even in this game, there's certain dungeons that you just have to do at a certain time.
okay.
Do it, but there's been several different ways to like go through this game, and I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is now like they're taking what they wanted to do with this game.
Mm-hmm.
What we wanted to do was just give you a world to explore
Ooh,
and have an adventure, and now the technology that they have available, they say, okay, now we can finally realize what Zelda was really truly meant to be, which is
Yeah.
an open world adventure
That's-
game. That's what they tried to do here.
I feel that so much now after playing that. After you saying that, like they didn't have the ability, even with technology growing as much as they could, they still felt like they were hitting that wall. But then when the Switch came out, and the fortunes are like, dang, originally it was for the Wii U, and then it was for the Switch, for the Switch, but they're still like, okay, we were able to we scratched it. It's an open world game, we could do it, but we want to do so much more. I think Tears of the Kingdom is that game where they're like, we were able to do. I still feel like this game is amazing. I'm just gonna say this game is amazing and probably one of the best games I played this year. It will definitely rival Final Fantasy 16 and Grand Blue Fantasy and Spider-Man when that comes out. It's definitely gonna rival that. For me, it's gonna rival that.
Yeah. It's a contender. It's a contender. You can't deny.
Yeah.
The numbers alone let you know that.
Oh, 10 million in a week?
Yep.
10 million a week?
Not at least get nominated for Game of the Year. I don't believe
it
Game
has
Awards.
to.
It has to.
Like,
It has to.
It has to.
No
But
question about it.
but I feel like there's like I'm sure after they've already finished development on that, they probably were like, we could have did this. Ooh, Nintendo, so they probably went to say, hey, we're just gonna let this game ride for the next 5 years. But the second you guys tell us, hey, we need another one, we already have ideas on the board that what we could have done in Tears of the Kingdom. Because I'm pretty sure there's ideas in here that they had that probably didn't fit, that didn't work with what they were trying to do, the theme of this game. But I'm sure like they
already
have.
plotting.
It's already being worked on. Like they're already working on the next game or like DLC or something.
I feel like going back to what TJ said, or I feel like I'm sure they would love this. I'm sure, just going back to what TJ said, he said that the first Zelda game was, Tears of the Kingdom was what they couldn't do in the first Zelda. I think it'd be insane if they just said, "Hey, we're going to remake the first game, but we're going to take everything we learned from Tears of the Kingdom and we're just going to say this is Legend of Zelda."
Oh,
I think that would be
Oh.
the ultimate
Legend of
because
Zelda remake. Oh,
because
and put it in. The cool thing is they could actually just put it in the Breath of the Wild engine.
oh
You
yeah.
know, have voice acting and
Mhm.
everything like that'll be
Just go
really cool.
ham.
Mhm.
Just go ham with it. Put
Mhm.
it in the Breath of the Wild engine and just let it rock.
Mhm.
I would be there.
Like that would work because I mean like all of the 3D games have already had remakes, so it's only the 2D games that really need remakes.
I feel like they should
Oh.
just I think they should just do it like Breath of the Wild, 100%. Just
Yeah,
give
just literally throw it in the Breath of the Wild engine and I will buy it. I
mhm.
will buy that.
It's no, it's like it's funny though because I don't know if you guys have seen any like when Nintendo did like a GDC presentation for Breath of the Wild like years ago.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But they had showed that like when they were working on the game, they actually had like um a little tester that they're using for some of the mechanics, and they actually referenced Zelda NES
Really?
for it. Yeah, it's
I
on
seen
YouTube.
that.
If you look up Breath of the Wild GDC, like you'll see it. Like two there's like a 2D tester that they had used.
Mhm. That's cool, man. I honestly feel like Breath of the Wild is the blueprint for what any other game they wanted to do, like Nintendo wanted to do. I feel like they could like I've talked about this with people and I would love it and it would be really cool if we got something like that for Metroid. I think that would be the ultimate Metroid game. Like Prime, I think Prime would be gone. Or even if they said, "Hey, this is Metroid Prime," and gave us the choice to jump between first and third and first person, um, that would be.
That'd be really cool. Like if it had a game like that.
That's what I'm saying. They cracked the open world
I mean,
formula.
they almost had that with Other M. They kind of almost had
Yeah,
that
they
mix
kind of did with the
between the
other
two.
M. Yeah, yeah, that's
I'm
still one of
saying
my
they need
favorite
to take,
ones.
and that's what Nintendo does. They'll take previous ideas and just build on them.
Mm-hmm.
They could take that and just build it out. Like that's basically what they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, all right, here's Breath of the Wild. Let's put it out there and see how people rock with it. And then people was like, all right, we love this game, but this is what this is what we had a problem with. This is what we was missing on,
Mm-hmm.
and they did it. It's like, all right, so this is what the people want. We're gonna give it to them.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, this Tears of the Kingdom has been such a such a great experience. Like I'll even be honest, I wasn't hyped about it at first when I first saw it. I wasn't really hyped about it until I saw the story. And I was like, okay, maybe I can get into this now. And then getting my hands on it, I'm just like, okay, this is probably one of the best games I played on the Switch. I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I thought Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was like the best game I played on the Switch
I play that.
and that game is incredible, but like I feel like there's more moments here that I enjoyed a lot more. And it's just like I still feel like I haven't cracked really scratched the surface of everything that was to offer here. As many guides as I watched and all that, I still feel like there's just so much more.
my bo- my bod's just like destroying the.
Yeah, see, that's what's and you're literally showing what we're talking about. There's just different ways to
Yeah, and then
attack.
we haven't even talked about the new mechanic with having like partners basically. Like
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like
Like
these.
that was so fun. Like having someone like fight alongside you.
There's
and
one.
they actually like done
the only
something similar
nitpick I
before
have-
in Wind Waker.
Mhm.
Where, like they had the little companion character kind of follow you around, but they didn't do anything. They just kind of were there
Yeah.
to help solve
Like
puzzles.
it just helped you in the dungeon, and
No.
that was it.
I do have one gripe about that. Just one.
Yeah.
That they're mapped to the I do like the fact that everyone is, you have a companion, you have those 4 companions with you, right? I have a couple gripes about that. One is I don't like how, I mean, with 4 players now, it becomes more, it became more of a little bit of a problem. But first thing is, I don't like how like um they don't do much. They do one hit and then run around, and they'll do another hit and run around. Like, and I get it. Like, it's not supposed to be like a OP thing, but it's like I feel like they could do a little bit more. Another thing is, I don't like how they're mapped to the same button. I wish that there was a button where I can hit and it shows them all on the face button, and I just
God.
press a button and they'll use their ability. Like, I don't like especially when I'm using what's her name? Reiju. I have to go find her. And I'm like, Reiju, where you at? I have to go find her, and I'm like, okay, use it.
I can never find her.
Or
I
like,
never need to use
or
her.
like Yunobo, if I'm like farming, I'm like, hey Yunobo, I need you. Where you at? And sometimes he won't be there until I move, and then he'll appear. So it's like, I wish there was, and I get it. Like, it's hard to, because all the buttons, I have my Switch controller here. All the buttons are already mapped, so it's already like at max capacity of what they could have done. So it's like, okay, we can't do much because all the buttons are mapped already. So they kind of have to just like all be on one face button, and you have to walk up to them and use it.
Oh God.
And
I
it
might
also
accidentally-
comes to be a problem where it's like, if you're collecting stuff and they happen to go next to you, especially Tulin, and you're trying to collect stuff and you hit A twice and Tulin activates his gust and blows everything away. Like, that's happened to me so many times. So that's my only gripe about that.
Honestly, I think this, and this is me getting into crazy theory territory, and this may not be happening, but I honestly think that this was a test. And what I think is I think this is a test for a possible future where there's going to be a multiplayer Zelda game.
I
That would
feel
be really
like
cool.
I think a lot of
really
people speculated that too. Like, before this game came out, everyone was like, "Yo, they're gonna add." And I don't think we really even talked about this in the last time. Like, I feel like if they did, I feel like they have a blueprint. They just have to go back and look at it. Four Swords. Four Swords is a prime example of that. All they got to do is just go back and look at Four Swords and be like, okay,
Me too.
What did they do here? What did we do here? Four Swords. Okay, we had 4 people playing at the same time. All right, we have better technology now than we did back then. How can we really perfect it?
Improve it.
Yeah, really improve that. And
It's funny that you say that, because that's part of my theory. That's what I think they're doing. My theory is that we're gonna get a Four Sword style game in the future.
that would be so dope. Like, you have no idea. I've never played Four Swords. I've never. So just a little bit of history with me. I've said this before. I've never played Zelda games because I was a little bit intimidated. I remember when I was younger, back during the Blockbuster warehouse video days, right? Where you can rent games from places. I rented Ocarina of Time. I don't remember why I rented Ocarina of Time. I think because I saw it in like one of my Game Pro books back in the day. And I said, oh, this looks cool. So I got it and I played it. And I think I played it on someone else's save data. And being so young and not understanding what Zelda was, it was too much for me. And I just never played since then. But I always knew about the series though. And then when I had my GameCube and I heard of Four Swords, I was like, that actually is pretty cool. But I didn't have anyone else who owned Nintendo stuff. Like, back then, like, Nintendo was kid stuff. Like, you didn't, like, if you had Nintendo stuff, you were just like this little baby, right? That's what Nintendo was. But it actually wasn't. It was actually dope. And I had a GameCube and all that stuff. But I never had anyone to play with. I think that would be so cool if they gave us a Four Swords style of game, or hell, even add it to this.
Like a Four Swords, like open world game.
That's what my theory is, actually, because, like, first of all, like I said, now we know we have the ability to have multiple characters moving around and attacking on screen at the same. So now all we really got to do is attach an online multiplayer to that, have those characters just be controlled by other people. And lore-wise, we already have it, because Four Sword technically still exists.
Right.
It's just in a different timeline. We could easily just say, hey, we're gonna go over to this timeline where the Four Sword exists. Link in this world comes across the Four Sword, he touches it, and bam, he splits into 4 parts of itself. Bam, multiplayer game.
They can do that 100%. They can throw that in here somewhere, like an area that's
Use
like
the same
nothing.
engine. You can use the Breath of the Wild engine. Like I think this is what it's a test for. Hey, how well will this function to have multiple characters? And that's why like it even reminds me of kind of like the Dark Souls thing, where it's like, oh, they come in like the shadow form
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever, and they just like, oh, they got these shadow characters just running around where those are actually other players. Oh, now that they know that it works, like, oh, this works, like the characters can move around and stuff. All you have to do is attach multiplayer to that and have those characters just become player controlled.
Yeah,
They can, and they already have the ability to jump in and out. So you can just go to the menu and say, I want to activate another link. All right, boom, we activate link number 2, and then a player comes in and controls that link. And like I said, lore wise, already like this thing already exists where there's 4 links split up when they use this special sword. So like we have the story, already have the lore, we already have a system in place that can do it. We have an awesome open world engine that can do that. So imagine an open world Tears of the Kingdom style multiplayer Zelda game.
I'd definitely see that. I would definitely say I would definitely try to add it in here. If any, like, or make their own like game. It's like 4 swords and just be like, okay, this is it. You know, like of course you're gonna have to play through it at the beginning.
That could be a DLC thing, like DLC. We're gonna
they can throw it anywhere. Like in this world, this probably is something that we don't even care about, and now that whatever is the secret something, because now we have the depths, so they can just throw it into the depths. They can be like, hey, you have to go to the depths here and go here, and there's this sword. There's this sword. That, like you said, there's a sword to use that splits you into 4, and that's how your multiplayer thing is active.
The Four Sword, man. The Four Sword technically still exists in the Zelda universe, so it's like there's no reason why we can't pull it back out. I honestly think that's what this is a test for that. Like how would people be into something like that? Let's see how people feel about having their characters run around with them.
I feel like they would, because Cliff and another friend of ours, they were playing this mod on their PCs that allowed them to play Breath of the Wild together as 2 different links. And they were doing it.
Amazing.
The entire story. They did the entire story together. So it's just like, and of course, Nintendo, I think, saw it and they had to like stop. But I feel like
I put it on hold temporarily.
Yeah, but I feel like it's if people can actually mod your game and add multiplayer function to it, it's a possibility. But I feel like they're just like, I feel like they do have it, but I feel like they're just not. They're being a little stingy with it. But all right, we don't want them to like be the one to exploit. We want to be the one to break it and be like, yeah, you guys can do this now. I think that's why they're
probably stopping it, because it's like, hey, you're taking our idea. Just wait a minute.
Let's slow down. We're gonna do it, but just let us.
I'm telling you, like, where is this last enemy? I'm so.
It's probably me too. I had to. Well, for me, it was on the left side, or to the right side. It was on the right side, where the huts are. That's where I found him. It took me a minute, but then like the side quests after this one are kind of the side quests after this one is a little not intense, but it's just like it's a lot of fetching. I'll say that. It's a lot of fetching. After you finish this, you're gonna do a couple of fetch quests after this, which confused me. One of them confused me. Like it was like, hey, get 15 logs, and I was like, 15 logs? I was like, there's no way they actually mean like logs I get to cut. But it is, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
You know, it's funny because when I first saw that, I was like, "Man, that's kind of crazy." But you know what I did? I used the Ultra Hand ability and literally just glued.
That's what I did too.
Glued them all together.
I did that too. Because he was like 15 logs, and I was like, "You mean the piles of wood?" So I went and bought like a whole pile of wood, and he was like, "No, that's not what I'm looking for." I'm like, I know he's not talking about actually 15 logs. So I actually looked it up, and I'm like, that's what he's talking about. Because no one else in this game, what threw me off was because no one no one in this game indirectly asks you to use Ultra Hand. It's just like man, I can't. It's like, man, I can't get the wagon to work because it's broken. So in your mind, I'm like, oh, I'll just use Ultra Hand to fix the mine together. That's it. They didn't ask me to use Ultra Hand to fix it. When he's like, give me 15 logs, it's just like he's asking you to use Ultra Hand to put 15 logs together and bring it to me.
Exactly.
That's what threw me off about it, because no one else actually asked me to use Ultra. Just like indirectly, they just like, hey, I can't fix this. It's broken.
Yeah.
Your mind, you're like, oh, I have Ultra Hand. Just put this together. It's fixed. But he's like, hey, I know you have this ability. Bring me 15 logs. That's what threw me off completely, because I was like, no one else asked me to use that.
That's kind of dope. It's just like, you like,
Yeah.
mechanic. Oh god.
Yeah. I was like, no one else asked me to use Ultra Hand but you. So that's what threw me off completely. I was like, okay, so you need 15 logs. All right. And it's easy. Like they're not hard to get. They're like right there.
Just went boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I made me a little axe and just went boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was
Boom
cool
over
though.
hill.
I thought that was cool because like Breath of the Wild, you don't do anything like that. So like to be able to do that in here, it's just, it felt good. It felt good to do that, to cut down logs and then just to bring it to him and he's rebuilding this. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's dope. And like I said, that evolves like that brings the amount of mechanics they were able to squeeze into this game.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there's technically like base building mechanic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
As you progress through the story, the lookout grows and changes.
Mm-hmm.
When I first beat that was the first one I did was the Rito. Did the Rito thing, and then I went back to the lookout, and then there's like Rito like flying around,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
preparing for battle, like training and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's down there. He's down there, Cliff. That's right. That's where I couldn't find him. He's down there.
Yeah,
That's what got me too. That's what got me too. I was like, where the hell is this fool at? And I went to the well and I saw a question mark. I'm like, he's down there.
That's the same thing that happened to me too.
I was like, where is he at? I was like, I forgot to until you went to that well. I'm like, he's down there. That's right. He's down there.
He better not be down there.
Of course they put him down there. They had to.
Now looking at your outfit, that made me think about another side quest in this game that is so super dope.
Yes.
The Yiga thing.
I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we have to go to the
so dope. You actually get like Link gets like a like different technique because of it.
Oh yeah, that one I haven't done that. Have I done? No, I haven't done that one yet. That's the one I haven't done. I heard about it, but I haven't done that one yet.
You do it, Link gets a new move.
That's cool.
Basically.
So I was gonna say what we were talking earlier. So I do have two my very minor nitpicks. One on the story, not really the story itself, but it's more of about how the story, not how it was handled, but just I'll explain right now. So for example, we were talking about earlier how with Breath of the Wild, the story was a little bit different, where it was not really a linear story like all the other Zelda games, where it's like this happens, then B plot happens, and C plot happens. It's more of like you can experience it on your own and piece it together and figure out what happened. Overall, I did like the story. Like all the memories in this game, like it was way more dark than Breath of the Wild ever was. And I really enjoyed the last one that you get. I was honestly in shock. I was like, holy
Got a little
crap.
emotional that day.
Yeah.
I was upset.
Yeah.
I did too.
After that scene, I had to
I was
stop playing
like-
for a bit. I
I'm
was like, you know what? I'll put this
okay,
down for a little bit.
I'm like, you already knew what you did to me, Nintendo.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I have a slight nitpick on is that it's the same thing with Breath of the Wild, where in Breath of the Wild, I love the story. I just wish I could experience all of those things. Like we get to see
I got
Zoning
you.
for the very first time.
I got you.
We get to see their civilization. We get to see, the king and queen. We get to see Ganondorf and his, aspirations, how he, does X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I wish I was there. I wish I could actually be there to see
I
it.
got you. Because it was like,
And
it
then-
was that thing where everyone was like, maybe we get to use Zelda. You like, that could have been a situation where we could have actually used Zelda through that.
Would have been dope.
But-
she had her own. But man, you know how big that game would have been.
That might be DLC. Who knows? That's what I do.
That would be a dope.
That's what I
That would be
do.
a dope DLC. Is you
I'd be like,
play as
hey,
Zelda and you go through her story in her situation.
That would
That
really
would
be
be a
dope.
that's
dope
what I do.
DLC.
Because then we get more. Like the cutscenes were like good enough. The cutscenes from the Tears, like put it together of where the heck she was at, right? Like we know, like if you, it's like we talked about. We all did that, and it was all jumbled. So we were all kind of like, is she like talking to all the people? Like, how does she? What happened? And you're like, oh, so
Yeah.
that's what happened. So because the first, I didn't find the first scene. I think I found the first tier I found was when when Ganon first goes into the Kingdom of Hyrule. That's the first tier I found. So I was just like, whoa, wait, Ganon was sitting in front of everybody? Okay. And that's when he first eyes something that he sees, and you're like, oh, okay. Then my other scene, the other tier I found was when Zelda first got teleported to there. So my thing was jumbled until after I did everything, and then I ended up watching everything back again, and I said, oh,
Same.
okay.
I watched it all second time.
It's all together. But if they did a DLC, it's like we'll experience all the way up until a certain
That
thing.
point.
And it's crazy, 'cause I want to talk about this, but I don't want to spoil anything.
I know it's very complicated.
There's something I really want to talk about, but I feel like I'll kill it for everybody who's watching and for people here if they haven't done it yet. Like, I don't want to kill it, but it's such
the only thing I'll say about the story is the one thing I was kind of confused with was I really was like, okay, well, Zelda is XYZ. She knows what happened before she's in XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that she would kind of prevent some things from happening with the knowledge that she was able to get.
You know what that is?
Beforehand?
You know what that is? That's I thought about that too, but that was supposed to play out exactly how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, because
like
yeah,
Zelda,
I
there's
realized that too,
nothing
'cause it's
Zelda
like a
could
loop.
because if you remember,
Everything that happened had already happened.
yeah,
It just happened again.
exactly. Because if you remember, they looked at the hieroglyphs and she saw 6 sages. She was there, so there was nothing she could have done because it's like what she was already there. So whatever action she would have taken, it still would have played out because she's already there. There's nothing she could have done.
Happened.
Yeah,
That's
there's
the weird
nothing
thing
she
about
could have
time
done.
travel. That's the weird thing about time travel games. It's like,
And
you
it's
gotta
so
think
weird
about-
because it's like now it messes up the continuity of Breath of the Wild. It's like, wait,
That's
so
what I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil anything. That's what I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it because I don't know if everyone's done it yet. So that's why I don't want to say
That's the weird
anything.
thing about time travel is that it just can kind of get away with stuff like that in a way. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
all right,
I
this
gotcha.
doesn't quite go where we want it to go, so we're just gonna say it's time travel. So it's like it happens sometimes where it's like time travel is weird like that because
so true.
if that's the thing, then that's what happened, but didn't know that happened because she hasn't been back there yet, but she has been there before because that's the way it happened.
Yeah. So it's like it's like she was born and all that stuff, but she still goes back because she was in the hieroglyphs that they found, and they found the 6 sages. She's one of them. So no matter what she would have done, no matter what prior knowledge, and she even told them what was gonna happen, but it didn't matter because it was everything happened exactly how it's supposed to happen.
She told him the first time, like technically the first time she went there, she told him the same thing. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, she's like, hey, there's somebody named Ganondorf who's about to take everything, and he was like, oh, okay. He didn't heed anything. He was just like, oh, all right. But it didn't matter because even if she warned everybody, she told everybody about the everything, it was supposed to play out exactly how that was supposed to play. So there was nothing she could have. And I don't know if she realized that, but I think it wasn't until the end where she kind of realized that, okay, there's nothing I can do here but this. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I can only do this. And
when I saw what she did,
It's
the
like,
moment I
you know,
stopped the game, I put it down, and I was like, I gotta
no,
walk away for a second.
It was
yeah,
emotional. I think it was
same.
the first time, and I was not saying I didn't care about Zelda in Breath of the Wild, but I cared a lot more about Zelda than I did Link in this game. I cared a lot
really
more about
made-
Zelda.
Has
It-
improved. And
mm,
I cared more about Zelda in this game than that's what made me kept doing the glyphs. I was like, what happens
Yeah.
to Zelda? Oh, okay, so what happened? And then when you actually see like what she does, and I really want to talk about it because it's
yeah, maybe like next week we can have like a spoiler cast and just like go all
because
in.
spoiler version. I'm about to come back for that one.
I really want to like
I
talk
will
about it
say,
because it
though,
makes so
like,
much yeah.
about the continuity, without actually going into detail. The one thing I am confused about is like during certain events, how does it like during Breath of the Wild, like with the champions,
Mhm.
it's like she's not there. So how does that make any sense?
It's
You know?
it's yeah,
like
it's
how
really
how does Breath of the Wild take place if she's you know?
it's just like I said because Zelda's technically Zelda is born, right? She's born already, she's grown and she's who she is. It's not until Tears of the Kingdom where she goes back in time. So it goes back to what I said. She sees there's six sages and she's one of them. So she's there in the present all the way until Tears of the Kingdom, until she goes back in time. But because she goes back in time, it doesn't affect like her back in time is her future, if that makes sense. Her going back in time is her future. It has nothing to do like her going back in time doesn't remove her past, doesn't remove her from the past. It just takes her from her present time to the future to where
Travel is weird.
yeah, to where yeah, it takes her back from her present time to the past. It does nothing to her. It doesn't do anything to that Zelda's past. It's just now there's technically two Zeldas now because she went back to the past. Now the Zelda that goes to Tears of the Kingdom, she still exists. So she's going to experience everything that the Zelda I'll say Zelda number 1 is what went back to the past. So she is going to experience all that stuff. Zelda number 2 is born. So Zelda number 1 going back to the past doesn't affect Zelda number 2 until she hits Tears of the Kingdom, and the process just repeats itself. So it's just going to go in this endless circle of time because she's going to go back in time, experience that, and then Zelda
forward.
2 comes and she's going to experience everything Zelda 1 experienced, and then she's going to go back in time. And it's just going to do that.
Basically explains the logo.
And yeah.
If you think about it, like
Yeah.
it explains the
Ouroboros.
logo.
And that's what I'm kind of feeling that's where it's going to go. And my theory is that basically this particular instance that we're playing. It's not the first instance.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's why she's already on the hieroglyphs and stuff, because
Mhm.
this isn't the first loop, because it's basically a loop.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the first time this has happened.
Right.
And I think that in this particular instance, when she goes back, she then realizes what's happening, and that's why she does what she does,
Mm-hmm.
break loop.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's
the
what.
thing that she does technically is going, like, I feel like that's what it's going to do, is going to break the loop. Because technically now, like you said, there's two Zeldas.
See, now I want to
know.
talk about this because there's a aspect to this that I really want to talk about this, and I'm just gonna be like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna say right now, spoiler alert.
Okay.
I really want to, because I feel I don't want to wait because I'm gonna forget. So
Okay,
this
so
is just
everybody-
spoiler alert right now.
This is your moment to run, okay?
This is just spoiler.
Run,
So
run,
so-
don't work.
if you
so-
don't want to hear.
So let me just answer this question. All three of us have the Master Sword, right? Do all three of us have the Master Sword?
Yep. Well, I
I
mean, I
don't.
beat the game, so I
Okay,
have that.
but
I did do all the tears, so I know what she did.
okay. So you know what she did, and you know who she is at the time of when you saw the dragon, right?
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I
Okay,
know what she did.
So we all
That's what I think.
established that.
I think she did that because she realized that there was basically a loop happening.
Right.
I think
Okay.
she's realized like, oh, like if I don't do something different, the loop is just gonna just like you said. Every time I get to this point, I'm gonna go back and go through it again. Go back and go through it again. Go back and go through it
Right.
again. So I have to do something
Okay.
different.
Okay. Now
Break the
I see
loop.
to break that. Okay, I feel what you're saying. Okay, now I understand what you're saying. Okay, so this is spoiler alert, right? And so TJ, you already know that Zelda is the
Light dragon.
yeah, she's the light dragon
Mhm.
who has the Master Sword, right? So here's
Has lost all of her memories.
yeah.
Oh my god.
So let's really just dive and dissect this real quick. So Breath of the Wild, she's there as if you want to get technical, she's there as the light dragon. She's there.
Yep.
So she's like she knows what happens. Everything. So she's just overseeing it. Now if you remember
That's the thing. She doesn't know what happens though. That's the thing
well-
because she forgot.
okay. Yeah,
Remember,
okay.
remember they said once you eat the food,
Yeah. Once you
you
turn into a
lose who
dragon, you
you
lose
are.
all yourself. Yeah, that's right.
That's
So-
why she put the. But see that the only thing I say is a plot hole
Mhm.
is that technically the Tears of the Kingdom now there are two masters.
That's what I was gonna say. So what does that do? If there's two powerful engines, and the Master Sword that the Light Dragon has is way stronger than the Master Sword that's sitting in Korok Forest, because they said when the Master Sword gets destroyed, it can recover itself and become even stronger. That sucker's been there for 100 years.
Chocolate light. Yep. 100
This
plus.
master sword is
Well,
gonna be
well, thousands of years.
Yeah,
Years,
it's been there for like
thousands.
1,000 of years, and there's the original Master Sword sitting there in Korok Forest. So there should have been something where it's like there can't be two freaking Master Swords, because it's like what is there's a theory. There's so many time theories, man, which is just insane. But I like to use the Back to the Future time theory, where Doc Brown says to Marty, if you run into yourself, because what was it, part 2, where he went back to the 50s,
Yeah.
and he's already been back to the 50s, and Doc Brown was like, if you interact with yourself, you could destroy the timeline. Well, technically Doc Brown interacted with himself, but nothing happened. As much as he tried to avoid, nothing happened. So, but that's just two human beings. When you have two powerful weapons like the Master Sword in the same timeline, something would have had to happen, which would have destroyed and ripped everything apart, because you have two entities that are technically the same, that are the same thing, that are radiating so much power and so much energy, especially the one that's been sitting there for thousands of years. Like what? Like
I'm getting into theories again.
like it's crazy. And then
That's the event.
yeah.
Like, cause my theory is that Breath of the Wild is basically a merger of the timelines.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Breath of the Wild falls at the end of the timeline and all the timelines merge. Because it's one thing that has never been explained is that Rito and the Zora.
Me and Cliff were talking about that.
Reality.
Me and Cliff talked
Yeah.
about that last time. We were like, and I remember reading up on this. Someone told me that that the Rito and the Zora are the same. So I ended up looking it up, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So the
Wind Waker, when it flooded, like they had no other choice but to evolve.
yeah,
The Zora evolved into the Rito in Wind Waker.
And-
And the Rito only exists in the Wind Waker timeline.
and
It don't
I
exist in any other timeline.
and I think they mentioned it in Tears of the Kingdom. I think they mentioned it in Tears of the Kingdom. I think they mentioned something about that, but really
The fact that the
remember.
Zora and the Rito exist means that because the Zora only exists in the Ocarina of
Uh,
Time
and
uh, timeline.
they're in Twilight Princess as well.
That's the same timeline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Princess basically happens, I think, after Ocarina of Time, something like that. 'Cause there's like the
Okay.
Wind Waker timeline is basically like
It's someone after.
Wind
Like you have
Waker,
the like
uh,
Ocarina of Time like
Spirit
is
Tracks,
in it.
Okay.
and what's the other one? Wind Waker, Spirit Tracks, and another one.
Hmm.
That's one timeline. Then you have Ocarina of Time, Jorah's Mask, Twilight Princess.
Hmm.
Then you got the Four Sword stuff. It's another timeline where you get Four Swords, Minish Cap.
Hmm.
All that stuff. That's another timeline. And the Zora only exists in that Ocarina of Time.
I got you. I got you.
Minish only exists in the Four Swords timeline, and the
Mhm.
Rito only exists in the Wind Waker timeline.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that's the one thing. Like, if I was writing the story, this is what I would do with the next Zelda game. I would have the Minish appear in
Mhm.
this
Yep.
game, and then I would have all three timelines, like three creatures that only exist in separate timelines, now exist in this timeline, and all the
Bro,
timelines are
TJ,
merging together.
like just imagine like you know like the freaking like the chasms. Imagine like a freaking like a Minish world. Like where, like
Yeah.
you like become
That'd be
tiny and
dope.
then like you have an entire world that's so
That'd be cool.
That you can add a whole nother world now, and it's just the Minish
I think they
world.
were supposed to do that with Breath of the Wild, like the Minish were supposed to be in Breath of the Wild, like with some concept pictures.
Mhm.
That would have been dope. And
That's
what
cool.
if this whole timeline shenanigans thing with Zelda going back in the past and getting two Master Sword? What if that is the event that causes all the timelines to merge?
That would make sense.
That
That
could
would make
be.
That would be
sense.
the thing. It was like, oh, this you like basically like now there are two Master Swords,
Well,
there's two Zeldas.
only
And this is messing up everything, and now
yeah.
all the timelines are just gonna the timeline's gonna have to auto correct basically.
I
And
would
we're just gonna merge everything together and fix this timeline.
well, because the Rito and the Zora were already there before Zelda got there.
So I'm thinking this is like the event. Like this is like
Right.
oh, the worlds are merging together. And
Oh,
this is, now the Rito exists.
I get you.
Now
So
now the
because
Minish are existing. Yeah.
I get it because Zelda 1 is already a part of a timeline where everything is already existing. So her going back in the time causes two species who do not coexist with each other because of she going back in the time. Now all of a sudden there's the Rito and there's the Zora there because she went back in time.
Because this isn't the first instance. I think Breath of the Wild is still included in that second loop. Because like you said, the Light Dragon is already in
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is all happening. I think this might be the second or third loop going around. So it's like, oh, so every time this loop happens, it changes something.
Mhm.
Maybe the first time it happened, the Rito weren't there. But when she went back, now the Rito exists. And then she goes back again, and now the Minish exists. You know what I'm saying? Like every time this loop happens,
Ooh.
it changes
So
What?
so if you remember, Sonya told Zelda, said, "Hey, you have what did she say? The sacred stone of time is amplifying her power of light.
Powers.
So what if her already technically
light and-
being
and
as the
healing
light
powers,
dragon,
yes.
and her Zelda 1 being the dragon and Zelda 2 being there, what if Zelda 1 the light dragon is feeding Zelda 2 her powers every time there has that loop? So then there's that knowledge of, okay, maybe I need to do so, or maybe like you said, because there's two entities of light there, and one is probably feeding into the other in Zelda 2. So her going back is changing that loop every single time she goes back. So every time the Zelda 2 that goes back is more amplified and giving the other Zelda more power, going back more so it's like a cycle of energy going back into
That is
each
like
Zelda.
basically damaging the timeline, basically. Like every time it goes back, it changes something. Oh, now we're merging the second timeline, and the next time it merges the next timeline. So every time this happens, it's actually like merging the timelines. It's basically like
Because
messing
isn't
up time.
well, if we're talking about timeline, so Ganondorf would be in the Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess timeline, and Ganondorf is also in the Wind Waker timeline. So
Yep.
He is not in
What?
the third timeline. Is the weird thing.
Yeah. So
Not that
what if?
Not that I can remember.
So what if her going back manifests Ganondorf in the Gerudo?
Oh, this could go crazy.
Yep.
Then because they could go nuts with it.
Because if we're saying, because what if we're because
Vati in from the third timeline where Ganondorf doesn't exist? Maybe Vati. Oh my god, that would
yeah, because if we're saying that there's two entities like that, right? Maybe it's not the Master Sword's doing it. Maybe it's Zelda that's doing it, and there's already a power of light there, and you have a light dragon, and if that's the case, then the dragon is the Zelda 2 is siphoning energy from the dragon every single rotation. So she's technically, the Zelda 2 is getting stronger every single time there's that loop. And so every time she goes back, there's something from another timeline being pulled into this, because technically, like you said, Breath of the Wild is supposed to be the convergence. So what if she's causing the convergence, and the convergence causes Ganondorf to come in here?
What if that explained, and that they could actually use that to explain why you don't see the Sky Islands in Breath of the Wild? Then, if she went back, maybe she's manifesting power from the Skyward Sword timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say about that earlier because about the Zonai, I was like, so like I wonder like who came first, like the Zonai
it
or
was-
the people of Skyward Sword, because like they're both people who are from the sky.
Well, didn't they say, because they said Skyward Sword technically does, Skyward Sword comes right after Tears of the Kingdom, because now there's a Sky Island. So maybe
Technically, Skyward Sword is like the first Zelda
game.
Right.
It's technically the first part of the timeline. What I'm thinking is that the Zonai come before that.
But
The Zonai basically create the Hylians.
yeah,
I haven't
because
got all the way through yet.
yeah, because because in the they talk about it in the beginning, and they kind of explain it in the Tears. They say that oh no, Cliff, not those. You gotta actually go get the logs, not the pine trees.
Oh
Yeah, there's logs going up the trail. If you go back up the trail you came down, there's logs up top of there. You use those.
The pine trees don't count apparently. I
Yeah.
did that too.
Yeah, they don't count. Well, what the hell was I saying?
that's what like the Zonai.
Oh
The
yeah,
Zonai,
yeah. So they said that the Zonai, the Zonai, and I think the Hyruleans were there already, but
And
they
had decided to form a union.
yeah, they had formed a union which created Hyrule, because the Hyruleans were there already, but the Zonai and Zonai, that's why, what is it? Sonia is Hyrulean, but there was no established government, I guess you can say, until they came together, and then they were then there was the Kingdom of Hyrule. But you don't see species, you don't see the Zonai species anymore. For some reason, I don't know.
I wonder if that means the Zonai came after, because in Skyward Sword, basically, it talks about how Kingdom was founded.
Mm-hmm.
Basically at the, I don't want to forget it. We're already in spoiler territory now.
Yeah.
In
The
Skyward Sword, basically, the Sky Islands eventually come down to the main world,
Okay.
and then that's when they start. That's how aliens come up on Earth. What I'm thinking is,
yeah.
maybe the Zonai come with them after that.
Yeah. Cliff, don't break the logs. He literally needs logs. He literally asked for logs. Literally. Yeah, he literally needs logs. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're like, does he actually need the logs? He literally, wood pieces don't count. I tried that. I bought wood, and he said no, I need logs. So he literally needs those logs.
Yeah, so what I did is I just glued a bunch of them together.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they respond really quickly, so you don't have to go out and go find some. They respond pretty quickly. The trees.
What I did is I just teleported back to the shrine, and they came back.
Oh really? I didn't. I just waited around. I just went
I
back
just
and forth.
teleported back to like the nearest shrine and just
That
they were there.
that's what I was afraid of, because I was afraid if I make my log pieces and then leave and come back, it was gonna be gone. So I just like literally waited
I got what I
like
got, and I just took them
2
to him.
minutes.
Then I teleported back to the shrine.
Oh, okay. I did all 15 at once.
I did like whatever I could find, put them together, took them to him, teleported to the shrine, and did it again.
Oh, I didn't do that. Cause I know that when I did it, I just did my first 5. I did my first 5, went to the other side, cut down the trees, and then went back to the other side, and they responded. So I was like, okay, I can just do 15 in one shot. I didn't think about like dropping them back off.
So cool. There's so many different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that make this game so cool. Like, I found a different method. I just teleported back. I gave you those ones, teleported back to the shrine. The trees responded, and I just did it again. Did that like 3 times, and then boom, he got all 15 things.
But yeah, like that's why I told Cliff the other day, I was like,
Zelda timeline is jacked.
It's very confusing because there's so many, not just because there's so many games. It's not because of the games. It's because of everyone has a theory. There's not like one theory and people would give little add-ons to it, but the theory is the same. Like the base of it is the same. There's so many. And I remember I got into I use that example. I got into a thing with someone, Triforce Johnson. Do you know Triforce Johnson? You're familiar with Triforce Johnson? So he was on the Gamers Run podcast, and I said, I'm going to hop on this podcast because he was talking about the timeline. I'm going to hop on it. And I challenged him. I said, hey, so couldn't you say that the Legend of Zelda is just different legends from people's other people's perspective? Telephone? Couldn't you say that? Because that's pretty much what the timeline is. It's just like a telephone thing where everyone has a different perspective, but it's like different things. So we didn't really get it. It wasn't like a heated thing. It was more like an intelligent argument. And I think people got scared because they thought I was like being disrespectful. I wasn't. I'm just curious. I was like, what is this? And he was really cool with it. He said, yo, I never had any. He's like, I told him that I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come on here to start. He was like, no. He was like, you're one of the first people to actually just come on here and challenge it and not be disrespectful. Like, I appreciate that. So that's what. So, but like you said, like there's so many different perspectives and theories about it that, and I think Nintendo will never, ever say this is what it is. They will never say that.
Well, I mean,
at the end of the day,
there's an official. I mean, not there. There's an official timeline. It is kind of outdated now, but there is one from 2012.
It's in the Hyrule Historia book that I actually have over.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I don't see. Like I said, I'd leave it as it is. I'm like, y'all say it's this. All right, cool. I'm just gonna come my own.
There's Nintendo's official timeline of the games. I actually have the whole Hyrule Historia 3 book set. It actually like breaks down all the lore basically.
Mhm.
These 3 encyclopedias basically of all Zelda knowledge. And there is like an official timeline, but at the end of the day, what it is that I don't think originally there was a time.
Yeah, I don't think there was
at first
either.
It was just like, oh, like let's make Zelda 2 and then Link to the Past.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I think it just
they were
thought
just
to it
making
at
different
first.
games and they were never meant to link.
yeah.
And then
People
the
just started to
fans.
see a link where there wasn't one. And Nintendo was like, hey, once again,
Let's
people are
make
having
money.
fun with it.
Let's make money.
People are having fun. They think the games are connected. They found some kind of way to do it. So let's just put this thing out.
Yeah,
Have fun with it.
that's what I thought. I thought because I didn't know there was an actual encyclopedia, and I thought it was just I'm not gonna say fan lore because the lore is official, but it's just like when it came to like explaining when everything happened, I thought that was just all on us, and Nintendo was just like, all right, cool, you guys are coming up with this thing. That's not what we wanted. We were just trying to make money. 1,
Just
2,
making
3 Adventures of
I
Link
think
and
that's
wait
originally
time and
what was
wait.
happening.
Yeah.
They just like, all right, people like this stuff, so we'll just go ahead and give them the official timeline and just go ahead, whatever. Because honestly, it's still like even with the official timeline, it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah.
Like it's all based on the fact it all stems from Ocarina of Time. It's like, all right, here's the timeline where Link beat Ganon, and this happens. That's one timeline. There's a timeline where
He
Link
doesn't.
lost, and that's this timeline. The Wind Waker timeline where everything got destroyed because Link is no longer there.
Yeah,
Because in Wind Waker, technically that Link isn't Link.
Yeah, yeah. I remember playing through that when you go to Hyrule and they talk about a hero of time, and it's not the Link you're playing as; it's
'Cause
another.
even the boat says like you're not the legendary hero.
Yeah,
You're not the one. You're not that one.
yeah. I remember that, and that tripped me out when I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute. This is like kind of me being green to everything. I didn't know my knowledge of Legend of Zelda. I was just jumped in there Wind Waker. And I said, wait, so what do you mean this isn't? And it's funny because the statue they showed, it looked like the old school like rendition of Link. That's exactly what it looked like. So I said, okay, that's kind of trippy. So that's, to my knowledge, that's Link. But you're telling me that the character that I'm using is not this person, which is Link, but you're telling me that that's not Link, even though I'm playing as Link, but I'm not that. So that's why I was
You're
just,
not that descendant. You're not the
yeah,
descendant of that hero.
yeah.
Like,
So that's why I got it.
you're
That's
just
why I was
some
just
kid.
kind yeah, that's why I was just like, all right, I'm kind of jacked. And I remember Triforce Johnson said, what did he say? He said, I don't know if he said it was the not Wind Waker. If he said Skyward Sword Link or Ocarina of Time Link is Link Prime, which is the Link that is in every timeline. And he said that if they ever did another game like this, when it gets to a certain point where the Link that you're playing as can't handle it, then the Link Prime, who is like probably the strongest Link out of all of them, will come to that specific timeline of the game we're playing and help Link out. And I was like, that'd actually be pretty dope.
Be dope to have the hero of time, because like that's why there's different here. That's why there's different titles.
Titles, yeah.
Yeah,
Because like there's the hero of time. That's the Ocarina of Time Link.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
the hero of winds or something.
yeah.
That's the Wind
That's
Waker
Wind
Link.
Waker.
That's not
Yeah,
he's not that Link, but he's his own.
yeah,
His own hero.
yeah.
That's the hero of winds, and then there's the hero of trains and whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
that's why they have those different titles, because they're not necessarily. Some of them are descendants of the same Link, but they're not necessarily. All of them aren't necessarily from that same bloodline. Basically,
yeah,
the Wind Waker timeline is a completely different bloodline. That Link is actually the same Link from the Wind Waker game that's in the Spirit Tracks games, that's in the other games.
yeah, yeah,
That's one person.
yeah,
Then the Ocarina of Time Link is the one that beats Ganon and goes back to the past.
yeah, yeah.
Kid.
And then there's
that
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. That's the same Link from that one. That's
Yeah,
the hero of time.
yeah,
Then you have, Link dies, and then you got that Link, and then you got the future Link, just his descendant,
mm,
which is the Four Swords games and all that stuff.
yeah,
And then you have Twilight Princess where he actually shows back up to like train you.
Yeah, like
yeah, yeah. As the shadows. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
As
that
like the
Link
wolf
is the Link
shadows.
that died.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's in like the skeleton armor and whatever, because he's dead technically. He's teaching
That's crazy.
descendant. That
I
is the
remember
hero
that.
of time.
Yeah, I remember
They said
that.
basically after Majora's Mask, he basically dies after Majora's Mask,
Mm-hmm.
becomes that shade that ends up teaching the hero of Twilight, which is Twilight Link.
And it messes you up because they're all named Link, so it jacks you the hell up because you're just like, that's what killed me when I played Wind Waker, and it was like, yeah, you are not the hero of time, which is here. And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, what? My name is Link. Why am I not that? And it's just
I think what it is that name became famous, basically. Like,
yeah,
basically, like I'm basically naming you after a famous person, basically.
yeah,
Like, I'm
exactly.
naming you Link because that's the name of the legendary hero that saved the world. I think that's what it is. It just became one of those names that's just like, all right, cool. That's just a cool name because it's based on this hero. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it goes back to what you said. Like Nintendo
Like
originally
passed
didn't
on, like,
intend.
different-
Nintendo didn't originally intend to be this huge timeline not catastrophe, but like this huge timeline thing. So then everyone was named Link just because it was the hero's name for their games, and then
And it
it's
was
just
intended to be like the reason why he was called Link is because he was supposed to link to you. Like you're supposed to be that hero. You're supposed to link to
Right.
that hero, and that's supposed to be like your avatar in the game, basically. So
Right.
that's why like he called him Link. He's your link into that world.
Right. Are you doing a duplication technique so you can get a
Yep.
highly interact?
I was gonna say earlier, like I don't know if it's just me, TJ, but like the Twilight and the Zonai have some similarities. You know, like they both had to do with Ganondorf. They,
Mhm.
they both had to steal him away.
Mhm.
They both descended from a really, ancient place, civilization.
Yeah,
Really
there was something I
Ooh.
watched. There was something
The
I watched
Twilight or Zonai.
that's what I was
They
that's what
are
I was
a
gonna that's
different
what I was gonna bring
world.
up. That's what I was gonna bring up. Someone said that the Twilight deal with exactly what the Zonai deal with, but he didn't go and he was just talking about getting the Twilight Princess armor, the armor set. But then he brought up he just I think he's just kind of just said it just to be like, oh well, there's similarities here. He was like, even though the Twilight goes deal with what the Zonai dealt with, but whatever. He brushed it off so fast, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, you don't just say that and then start telling me how to get the armor. Why did you say like why did you just say
Maybe,
that?
maybe that's why the Zonai don't are in this world because the Twilight Zone is basically its own different realm,
Mm-hmm.
basically its own universe or kind of like separate world or whatever. Maybe that's where all the Zonai are. Maybe the Zonai went to this world, became the Twilight.
Yeah, there's just too many. There's too many
Oh
freaking.
man,
There's just
that's deep.
too many things in here. This is
Maybe
insane.
those are so. Maybe Midna is a Zonai.
That would be an interesting thing there.
What if Midna is a Zonai? She's the princess of the zone. She's Sonya's
She
descendant.
is the Twilight Princess, is she not?
She
Yep,
is the
she is.
Twilight Princess. She's of this Twilight race that never
Mhm.
really gets explained. What if she's a descendant of the Zonai? What if she's Zonai?
Like, oh, I get what you're saying. So like we would so if
Like the
anything they
Twilight is
could
a separate realm.
Mhm.
Just said like we don't know what happened to the Zonai. We don't know why they're no longer existing in the world.
Mhm.
Maybe they just went into this other realm and that became known as the Twilight realm. And then those descendants just became known as the Twilight, and that's where Midna comes from.
Mhm.
That because that would also explain the link between Midna and Zelda because they had some kind of weird
Yeah.
link between them. Because technically, Zelda is part Zonai.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
Zonai,
it's
the
crazy.
Zonai King and Sonya, the High Ruling Lady, basically get together and they have
All their
it's basically
descendants, yeah.
inferring that she's a descendant of that.
Yeah.
But that would make Zelda half Zonai.
But the one thing I am curious is like what happened afterwards, as far as like after after they stole Ganon away, and like the lead up until modern Hyrule society.
Which
Because
is like Breath of the Wild.
because Sonya and Raru never had children. So like, what happened after? Like who like what happened afterwards as far as rulers of Hyrule.
There probably was others, and those rulers probably had kids, but we don't know that because they didn't go that far into it.
Yeah.
I'm saying like there's so many ways they can go about it because we don't even know why the Zonai no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they still do exist and they're just somewhere else.
Yeah, there's just I know that you haven't gotten there yet, TJ. I don't want to like ruin that reference, but they do reference Link's awakening, if I'm correct, in Tears of the Kingdom, just for a specific
No, I remember seeing something like possibly like a windfish reference.
yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing something about that where it's like I was like, is that the windfish?
Yeah, like in like the sky or something.
Yeah, I was like, is
Yeah.
that like the windfish?
Well,
Like, is
they
that
no like they don't call it. They call it a skyfish, but I was just kind of like, oh, isn't that like that's like kind of threw me. I was like, wait, isn't there like something like that in Link's Awakening? But it's a
it's
windfish,
called the
right?
windfish, but it's like I mean, but it's a fish in the sky, so maybe they just like they didn't know the
Yeah,
name of it anymore.
yeah,
It's like,
called a windfish or skyfish.
yeah, it's a skyfish. It's a fish in the sky, so we call it a skyfish. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, so
maybe that was the. Oh my god! See, like this. I'm gonna stop. I could theorize about Zelda all day, man. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop now.
Oh,
But at the end
yeah,
of the day, this is a really good game,
yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
willing to say it here online that I think this is probably my favorite Zelda game of all time.
I agree. I agree. For someone who hasn't played all of them, but has played, I said I played the like. I don't know if you guys would agree. I think I played the important ones, which is like Twilight Princess
The
and
main
Wind
line
Waker.
titles, I guess
Yeah,
you could say.
and to say that I played Breath of the Wild and loved that, but I I honestly I put more hours into this, be playing it in the beginning. And I said this earlier, so I made a good point, and I said this earlier. Um, I feel like when I played Breath of the Wild, like it's something I've never experienced, so I didn't know how to attack it, right? Then I went back and played it again, and I'm like, okay, now I know where to go and all that stuff. But jumping into here, it's a new game, but it's still familiar territory to the point where like I know how to handle each areas now because I've done it before. But like you said, they it's Hyrule, but it's still different. Like there's still like even though everything's the same, so like I remember I went to Dual Peaks. I'm like, oh man, I remember I went here before, but it felt different because it's Tears of the Kingdom. Even though I've already been here before, it just felt different in some way. Like I haven't been here in like years, and I'm going to Dual Peaks,
Yeah.
which was my kind of my hub where I did all my stuff at. So
Another cool thing that they did in this game too is that this is one of the first games where people are like familiar with who Link is.
yeah, hmm
People will be like, "Oh, hey, Link, what's up? How you doing?" Like, it's
yeah,
like they remember you from the like. That usually doesn't happen in Zelda games. Link is usually just some dude from somewhere that nobody like. Who are you? Like, where you come from?
hmm
Like in this one, it's like this is the first time. It's like, oh, hey, Link, what's up? Like he runs into old characters and they like, hey, Link, remember this? Or hey, Link,
yeah,
I'm talking about this. Like when he went to go see the Rito and like the dude had like the
hmm
guy. I'm thinking it was going to be the guy. I was like, oh, it's going to be him. Like, of course it's going to be him because he was the guy from the last game.
yeah.
Like, no, it's his
There's this
son. He
kid,
had a
yeah,
son. Yeah, it's
exactly.
just like, oh, like, hey, Link, remember? And then like they, him and apparently the son, Link had like some kind of relationship because he's like
hmm
really fond of Link. Oh, hey, Link, you're my. He's like, he looks up to Link. He's like, oh, hey, Link, you're a
Yeah,
cool hero. I want to be like you. Type. I'm like, that's really cool. There's
yeah.
never been a Zelda game that's done that where like Link is known for being a hero now.
hmm
People see they like, oh, you're that Link. Like you're the
hmm
hero Link. Like that's you. That's never happened in a Zelda game. And I thought that was
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a cool thing too. Or it's feel like you're not in unfamiliar territory again. You're still like in the same.
Because usually like he's becoming the hero. Like this is
hmm
the first game where you're like already
Or,
known
like
as the hero.
yeah, like he's already pre-established.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, y'all know who I am. I'm Link. He's basically famous now.
Yeah,
Like Link is famous. Like I saved the world. That was me. I'm Link. Everybody's like, oh, it's the Link. You're the hero Link. They be like, yeah, this is hero named Link that saved the world. Like, oh, that was you? Oh yeah, that's Link. Like a celebrity now. It's like
exactly,
weird. It's like that's kind of cool.
exactly. Well, man, we've hit that about 2 hour mark now. We've been talking about this for a minute, and
Yeah.
with the discussion, we could have gone another two, but we're not gonna go too far into that. Next time we'll do something like that. But yeah, it
Stop,
was
man.
it was fun. Thank you guys for hanging out, man, and talking about this. This was our so just
You're
real quick
welcome.
before we end this, if you can give us your final impression overall of the game and what will you rate it? Whoever wants to go first.
I'm gonna try not to
Uh,
be biased, but I am gonna be biased.
I think I would
This
say
this game is good. Like this is definitely what I would consider a must buy. If you own a Switch and you don't have Tears of the Kingdom, you're
you
making a
need it.
great mistake.
Mm,
You are making a great mistake if you own a Switch and you do not have this game. It's one of those games that you just have to have. There's Mario Odyssey 2,
hmm
there's Smash Brothers, Breath of the Wild, and now Tears of the Kingdom. Those are games.
Right.
If you own a Switch,
Look.
those are four games that you just need to have. And if I had to rate this game, man, like I said, this is definitely becoming my favorite Zelda game of all times. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Like
Okay.
it's all is I would say 9.8. Like it's like very, very minor things that they could do to make it a little bit better, which I
Right.
feel like they might do with the DLC. I feel like once I get that DLC, it might go to a 10 out of 10.
Right.
But
Right.
other
All
than
right.
that, man, this game is damn near perfect.
What about you, Cliff?
Like you took the entire word from my mouth. But yeah, I mean, besides my very minor nitpicks, this is basically Breath of the Wild 2.0. Yeah, if you like
Okay.
Breath of the Wild, this is gonna give you 3 times the enjoyment, the experience, the hours. It's been a really great time playing this game, and I actually can't wait to see what we get, either DLC or just
Mhm.
like the future of Zelda in general, like
Mhm.
where we want to go next from here.
I know that DLC is coming, and I can't wait.
Now, here's a question for you guys, for all of us actually. Well, I've actually said this to somebody, and I feel like this would have them give them appreciation. For those who haven't played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, would you recommend them play Breath of the Wild first and then go into Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes, I would,
I would
because
say that's the best experience.
Okay.
like it's kind of hard to just go on straight in with the new game. Like you really need to like have a sense of who the characters are, what the world is like, and then when you play Tears, it's like, oh my god, like all these changes have happened. Like let me
Mhm.
go visit this one NPC. Let me see what they're doing. That's actually one reason why I played the um the Breath of the Wild multiplayer like a month before the game came out, because I wanted to get my mind familiar with the world. And then when I played this game, I'm like, okay, like I want to go talk to Sidon, I want to go talk to Riju, I want to see how they're doing.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, because I told my cousin, I was telling him about that. I was like, "Yo, you have Breath of the Wild." I said, "Go play that. Don't put too much into it because you're gonna put all that into Tears of the Kingdom. So go through the story, do a little bit of other stuff, understand who everyone is, understand what happens here, and then go back and just pour your whole life into Tears of the Kingdom and just enjoy that."
I would say definitely play Breath of the. I say for the best, you don't have to play Breath of the Wild first before you play Tears of the Kingdom because it does do a good job of letting you know what's going on.
Right.
But you really miss out on a lot by not playing Breath of the Wild first. You're gonna miss out on a experience that's just different because changes that happen from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom are just like so unique and like what they basically they were able to take the same engine, the same world, the same graphics, and somehow make a game that's like completely different than the original.
Mm.
It's like seeing that transition makes you really appreciate that. It's like as somebody who like dove into Breath of the Wild when it came out, like when it comes to Zelda games, I'm pretty much like, all right, I'm on vacation until this is over.
Right.
Same here.
Yeah.
And I started Tears of the Kingdom, and I found like that first time you get to see Hyrule for the first time, you're like, oh, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is different. Like this is something different. So
It's like the vibe,
what
right? It's like you've been there before, but it's like the vibe is different, which is gonna give
you
me experiences different.
you've connected to that world now, and you're like one of the first things. That's why I haven't done it yet. Is like because one of my favorite, the Gerudo are always my favorite race in the games. I don't know. I just love the Gerudo,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm saving that quest specifically for last.
Okay.
Because like what happened? Because now that you know what happened with Ganondorf and the Gerudo and all that kind of stuff, now I'm like very interested to see what changes happen. Like, okay, now that this is a thing,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with the Gerudo, my favorite race. So like, I'm purposely leaving that quest for last
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
can't wait to see like what's gonna happen when I get there. Like, what changed and what's going on down there. So it's like you become connected to these worlds and to these characters. And you're getting to see them like a different light and like in different situations and like their relationships to the different characters and like it's just dope.
Yeah.
It's just dope.
Yeah. I could just overall say that Tears of the Kingdom is a great time on the Switch. It's definitely worth the $70. I know people are sitting there like, I'm not paying 70, or I was like, well, I would just I just shell out on this one because this is definitely a $70 game, not just because of the quality of it, just because of how much time you're investing. I have over 100 hours in this game already, so that tells you that
Same.
that
Same.
tells you
Couldn't even
that
tell you.
it's
I couldn't even
it's
tell you how many hours I put in this game.
it
Like right
tells you
now,
that
I
this is
have
worth your time and money.
115.
This is worth your time and
115
money.
minutes in this game.
100%. There's a lot of games that are $70 are just like, okay, the replayability isn't there, but like with this game, it's like it's there. It's it's there. You gotta find it. They're not telling you where the other stuff is. You gotta go find it, and it's there, 100%. Like there's the chasms. It's not just Hyrule. There's the chasms and there's the Sky Island. So it's definitely a lot more to explore than there was in the first game. So.
And this is definitely gonna be a second playthrough for me.
Yeah.
All right, coming. After I beat it the first time, I'll probably take a break for a bit, and then I'll probably play through it again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right, that is going to be it. We're going to end it off here. It was an amazing time talking about this game. I'm really glad that we were able to talk about it and get off our chest now. Because it's like, man, I saw something earlier today. Someone posted a cutscene and someone was like, stop posting spoilers. I'm just like,
exactly. I had to get off Twitter for a bit.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I'm glad I got past it, because I'm like, I know I'd seen that scene last night, but I'm glad that I got past, because that would have messed me up. But I'm gonna take it away. You guys, if there's any last things you guys want to say, anything you want to add, or you guys coming up, the floor is yours.
Well, as you know, I am MasterSwordMusic, aka TJ the Gamer. You can always find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Spotify, your favorite music streaming platform. Find me there. And one big announcement I will say is next weekend we're having a special live discussion on the greatest hits of MasterSwordMusic. And from that discussion, we are actually going to put out a greatest hits album. So definitely, if you want to see more of me and what I do, definitely come out for that, because that's going to be a good time.
That's gonna be pretty fun. I already have I don't even have half. I gotta go back and listen to it. I already know what mine are, but I gotta go back and listen to the other one. But I'm ready for that. That's gonna be really fun. Cliff, anything you want to add, or anything you want to last minute thoughts here?
Had a good time. It was really nice, just going over our thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're gonna, like I said before, these won't be all the time, but we will do them at least once a month, and I'll let you guys know. The next one, I'll say the next episode, that will be next month. I want to do one that talks about, we kind of talked about last time, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe now, because we have the Mario movie out.
Yeah.
So now it's like, what else are we going to see? So, and will that lead into a Smash Bros movie, right? To the Avengers movie? Right? Like, are we going to get an Avengers type movie now? So,
I would love that, but it's not happening.
The Smash Bros movie, that would be dope.
It would be cool.
They would have to limit the roster, but
yeah, it would. Yeah,
Like,
but
you're not getting Sora in a Nintendo movie.
Oh hell no.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, hell no.
Like
Hell
I
no.
see like this. Like the first one could be like Smash 64. the second one
Yeah,
could be
it'll be
Melee,
Smash 64
third
and
one would be
Melee. Maybe Brawl. I see Smash 64 and Melee. Maybe Brawl, but yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you everyone for stopping by, for watching live and post, and we will see you guys on the next one. You guys all take care.
Brawl. Peace.
And we are done.